Whoa, that was weird. I clicked the wrong button. I clicked fade to black, not fade. Oof. That was crazy. Where's the music? Oh, I didn't have Kenku up. That's why. That's why. I have like nothing prepared tonight. I'm so out of it. Oh, where is it? There it is. Oh, and I don't even have like my stream preview up. Man, I am out of it. There we go. There's that. Whew, how is everyone doing tonight? Oh. It's another wonderful Monday. Hey, that's a cool shirt. That is a cool shirt. That's my shirt. That's the my stream deck was working. There it is. That's a symbol right there on the desk, on the table, Elf's Corner. So yeah, I bought this just the other day off of the Redbubble site. So I thought about getting one where it was just the ghost, but figured, you know, this has the ghost. And then I immediately cut the sleeves off. That was the given. So we will see how it survives the wash. That's a main thing. So much talk about Planescape. So much talk about Planescape. Surprised you didn't get it sooner. Didn't really think much of it, truth be told. But yeah, you know, now I have one. So I'm curious because, oh wait, I gotta put these back up. There we are. Obviously, Planescape Adventures in the Multiverse is out. I don't know why that's not. Pre-order it, bro. I have it. Oh, it's available tomorrow. Oh, it's like, wait, then why can I read it? Oh, I can't. Okay. I was like, wait, what? How does that work? And it doesn't. I'm actually, I was looking forward to this. I'm not gonna lie. Because the thing is that each, it's like 3 separate books. There's Sigil in the Outlands, or Sigil. I think it's Sigil. Sigil in the Outlands, Mort's Planar Parade, and Turn of Fortune's Wheel. And Turn of Fortune's Wheel is an adventure. The Planar Parade is monsters and is a bestiary or bestiary, however you want to say it. Sigil in the Outlands is really the only thing I actually cared about. Music seems a bit loud. But I'm not gonna lie. When I looked at this and saw like what there is, I'm not as excited about this book as I kind of thought I was going to be. Like, you know, obviously we have some character backgrounds, which is cool. We have some feats, which I'm curious to see what they're going to be. And, you know, this would be something we'll talk about next week. You know, this comes out in a few hours, but I don't know when it's going to update. So obviously I can't jump onto it too much. We only got 2 new spells. We got some magic items, but I don't know. Like, I really feel like I thought this was going to be something more than what it is. And, yeah, I just don't know. Semuana's Bog. Huh, that's kind of crazy. If you don't know Semuana, that is the lizard folk deity. So that is interesting to see that that's in there. Yeah, I guess the you know, as I keep thinking about Planescape, I was kind of hoping more in regards to like some of like the outer planes. But I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm curious. I knew that happened. Wait, you knew what? Oh, Semuana. Yeah. Yep. All right. Whew. Man, I'll tell you what, I'm exhausted tonight. I am absolutely exhausted. Today was a long day at work. I am having to deal with my glasses, as y'all can see. We're gonna press on though. I'm curious if they've I don't think they would have yet. Shouldn't have. Yeah, no, they didn't. I was curious to see if somebody like got an early copy and put it onto 5e.tools, but that'll probably update in a day or two. The lady. But there was something that I did want to touch on a little today. Nothing crazy, nothing too out of pocket, and something that we have done before. And that is jumping back over to the DM Academy. I know it's been a time since we've been over here. There's not a ton of questions on here. They do update this weekly. But we can actually go back from times before, because the thing is that during the whole like big Reddit API shutdown thing, there was a big change to the DM Academy, and it really didn't work with how I was wanting to like answer questions and stuff. What's up, Jared? What is that? Oh, that's Sonic. Oh my god, it took me a minute to realize what that was. It's like, what the fuck? Looks amazing. But yeah, I don't know. I thought about going back into the DM Academy and looking at some stuff, because you know, back in the day we used to have a bunch of really cool threads in here, and granted, some of them now are, you know, 4 months old at one time. Next will be sexual link. Oh god. Wait, you mean a sexual link or sexual link? Like Legend of Zelda? I mean, oh, there you go. Ahama. God damn it. Oh, and it's obviously Breath of the Wild because it's wearing blue. I see. I see. But yeah, so I just wanted to kind of get back to this a little. We used to do this before, and yeah, just kind of thought we could do it again. We got our big list of questions here. If you are ever curious, if you're ever curious and you want to read any of these answers, you can go to that link, and that link should be available in the DM advice corner. Yes, that is in the DM advice corner over on the Discord. The link above me, you can get over there and find that. I've answered plenty of questions in the past, and yeah, so if you're curious about my answers to them, well then you follow that. I also see that I didn't answer some of these questions on here. Oh, I'm curious. I guess I didn't answer some of these questions that were on here. Maybe we'll answer some of these first. Got nothing better to do tonight. I wasn't sitting here hanging out with you folks. I'd probably be just watching YouTube. Jared probably would want me to watch One Piece, which I don't blame him. I'm kind of getting that itch. One Piece, yeah. I've watched like so many YouTube videos about it that at this point I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. Like, I don't know if I have the time to sit down and watch it all. Oh. Maybe one day. Maybe one day I'll get off my ass and do it. I need to open up. We're gonna have these on both, just in case I need to jump back and forth between them. Oh, what was that? No one ever does. Yeah, I feel that. Wait, some from the topics. Oh, you're talking about questions that you asked over in the Discord. I don't even know how far back those would go. Also, I don't know if I had a lot of opinions or things that I could add on to regarding the stuff that was talked about at the Pittsburgh Gaming Expo. That was a big thing. Like, there were some things there that I really didn't have much more opinions on them. Hold on, let me see here. Did I answer these ones? Yes, I answer these. What if someone wanted to make a blind character? Maybe just don't. Um, how do you typically describe how detect magic works with regarding any visible creature? Oh, yeah. Objects, creatures, yeah, they have a unique glow. Oh, and then using critical failure resulting in damaging or injuring themselves. Yeah, you could. I don't know where the other questions in there were. Got a lot of homebrew chatter in there. One moment. Strongholds and followers, the real bastion system. What is this? Looks like there's no mention of PGX in the DM advice corner. Interesting. I do not know. But I do see that there are some questions on here that I probably added at one time and never answered. So yeah, I'm gonna read through these and we'll answer some of these. We'll just kind of hang out tonight. Honestly, like I said, we're just kind of hanging out tonight. We're just taking this one by the fly. I do have an idea of something I want to talk about a little bit later. But that's for a little bit later. So we'll maybe get to that. It's kind of a reiteration on something I already did. Just kind of want to show my methods of madness. So we'll see. Would you allow a player to play a mimic using Plasmoid as the race and the invocations for an at-will silent image and disguise self? Okay, actually, is there an invocation that lets you cast silent image? I know there is one that gives you disguise self. I want to say that's the Mask of Many Faces. Yep. Oh, well, alter self, master of myriad forms. You know what? Let's turn off the homebrew, just so we're only looking at what anybody else is going to talk about. And what else? Silent image. Huh. No. Let's protect. No, it wouldn't be any of these. No. It's chaos? No. Oh, there it is. Misty Visions. Okay. Would you allow a player to play a mimic using Plasmoid as the race and so they're playing a warlock and they take the Mask of Many Faces and Misty Visions? If yes, what kind of shenanigans would you allow with this? What limitations would you place on this trick? Okay. So, Mask of Many Faces allows you to cast Disguise Self on yourself. which is that you can make yourself look different, but you're only ever going to seem a foot shorter than any given moment. Oh wait, I have a bunch of, let's clear this list. Let's pin disguise self and let's reload this. Pin silent image. So like I'm already of the mindset with this for the plasmoid, because you can be small or medium. So small as you're going to be about 3 feet tall. And you do have the ability to reshape yourself. Okay, as a bonus action, you can extrude a pseudopod up to 6 inches wide and 10 feet long. Up to. So it can be considerably smaller than that. As part of the same bonus action, you can use a pseudopod to manipulate an object, open or close a door or container, or pick up or set down a tiny object. It contains no sensory organs, can't attack, activate magic objects, or lift more than 10 pounds. Use your action to make it move. As it moves and change locations. Okay, so regarding this, I mean, you're not really playing a mimic per se. Like, I don't know if I would necessarily say that you're playing a mimic. You're playing a plasmoid that has a lot of illusion magic. Because the thing about being a mimic is that the stuff that you do holds up to physical inspection. Literally, Disguise Self says the changes wrought by the spell fail to hold up to physical inspection, and Silent Image is also physical in interaction reveals it to be an illusion. So it's not really being a mimic, because if you're a mimic and you're a barrel, you can literally like look like a barrel and work like a barrel. But I mean, I would say that because as a plasmoid, you are able to like make little pseudopods of yourself. I would say that, you know, being able to cast Disguise Self on yourself, you can look like any other humanoid you want. But since your pseudopod can only be up to 6 inches wide, and 10 feet long, it's not like you wouldn't be able to make that thing, like the pseudopod, be something more than just like an appendage. I mean, I guess arguably you could make it, you could make your appendage look like a whatchamacallit, like a bottle, and then, or like a water skin or a map case, and have that like then, and then use not minor illusion, but Silent Image to make it look like that, and then maybe someone picks it up. But regardless of that, it has no sensory organs and it can't really do much. But I guess if you were using it to track something, it is a part of your body. So like, I guess the limitation of, you know, what shenanigans would I allow, I would say that like if you use locate object or locate person, then, and you had like that pseudopod on somebody, then I would say that that would be appropriate. But it's going to be a very, you know, sticky situation, kind of a, or not sticky, but a specific situation, very weird use case. So I'm gonna put, would I allow a player to play a mimic using plasmoid as the race? You can assuredly play a plasmoid warlock with you can assuredly play a plasmoid warlock with the Mask of Many Faces and Misty Visions invocations, but you are not a mimic and cannot act in the same ways that a mimic can. So there we go. Oh, I found where I mentioned the PGX comics and okay. Topics for D&D&Chill. I was doing what I could, take super generic notes on some things. Okay. I think this was a reaction in relation to skill checks in general, but lock picking was used as an example. It was suggested to roll oh, that's right. We did talk about that a little bit. So this is in regards to kind of like gamifying your like your skill checks per se. And I think when this was brought up, I gotta grab a book. Can I grab it with my back scratcher? Oh, one second. So off I go. Oh, good day to you, my friend. Enjoy your sleep. I'll be enjoying mine soon enough. So yeah. Sorry, I'm being a fat kid over here. I have a whole bag of Smarties. Because I love Smarties. And I got like a whole bag of them that has tropical flavored Smarties and sour Smarties, but also ones that have big Smarties that look like candy money. It's like one of my favorite candies of all time. So be munching on those. What is this? All right, we're watching the video. We're gonna watch the point that this was made in reference to. Wait. I don't think I have desktop audio up. Hold on. We're not gonna watch the whole thing. Hold on. What we're gonna do is we're gonna splat. And you guys can't hear that. Hold on. Oh, you know what? I realize where I have to put it. Channel. Here we go.
Did you know that lockpicking in Dungeons & Dragons 5e just doesn't even work for most characters?
I did.
Look
it,
at
Bob.
this.
Tell me.
Locked doors. Characters who don't have the key to a locked door can pick the lock with a successful dexterity check. Doing so requires thieves' tools and proficiency in their use. Fortunately, I think that most people ignore the proficiency requirement because when you look at the description of thieves' tools, it says, proficiency with these tools lets you add your proficiency bonus, etc.
Which means that arguably you can make the attempt without getting the proficiency bonus. But that means that anybody can do it. And because the proficiency bonus isn't that much in reality, but it's just going to be pure luck. Yeah.
Etc. Kind of contradicting the DMG by implying that any character can at least attempt to pick a lock with thieves' tools even without proficiency in their use.
Yeah.
You just won't add your proficiency bonus. But what really gets me, what really grinds my lock gears, what tickles my tumblers, is that a good thing? What gets me about D&D style D20 fantasy lockpicking is that it's less fun to pick a lock in D&D than it is to pick a lock in games like Skyrim,
Right, where it's a
on
minigame.
D&D. You're stealth squatting around, sneaking up to doors or chests, and you enter this brief
And then you
but engaging
twiddle around your
mini-game
thumbs.
where you have to carefully just slide a lockpick just the right way
And by the way,
to
there
open
are
the lock. You're in, you
different
get a little
Smarties. Look how big
dopamine
that
pump
son
from the
of a gun is.
XP, and oh my god, we just got caught, time to go. And some of you may remember that I made a video complaining about this very thing like 2 years ago, and I shared my homebrewed happy medium between the elegant simplicity of a D20 roll and the excited happy medium.
Old Owlbear Rodeo. Man, I miss the old Owlbear Rodeo. Man, that was such a good open VTT free. It's not anymore.
Medium between the elegant simplicity of a D20 roll and the exciting tension of a full-on minigame, where I linked lockpicking to some relevant 5e character features while keeping it. Now, based on community feedback, I have made a couple straightforward adjustments, and we're gonna check it out. That's what it looks like. First, round your lock's DC to the nearest 5. For example, DC 13 becomes DC 15. In my experience, most lock DCs tend to fall around 15 anyway, so that's the example we're going to focus on. And just like usual, that rounded DC represents the lock's difficulty, but it is no longer a target number for your roll. It just gives us the general level of complexity for the lock, which I have
The
called
amount of D6s we're
lock
gonna roll.
complexity, because I'm very creative. And referring to this very straightforward table, our DC 15 example lock has a complexity of 3. Now, if your complexity is only 1 or 2, then you don't even need thieves' tools to try to pick that lock. This low complexity represents something like a hook or a latch rather than an actual lock, and there's no reason you wouldn't be able to just use a dagger or just about anything small enough to try to work it open. So, to pick our example DC 15 lock with a complexity of 3, you do need to have thieves' tools. But with these house rules, anyone can try to pick a lock with thieves' tools,
Thanks
even
for
if they
that.
don't have proficiency in their use. Then, here's where the tension starts to come in. The lock's complexity also determines the amount of time required to pick the lock. Specifically, the complexity equals the number of rounds required. So our DC 15 lock, with a complexity of 3, would take 3 rounds to open. In D&D 5e, 3 rounds means only 18 seconds. In many old school RPGs, 3 rounds would mean 30 seconds or even 3 minutes. Just use the amount of time as rounds are defined in your system of choice. It's all good as long as you're consistent. Finally, the lockpicking roll. This is also determined by our lock's complexity, where each level of complexity adds 2d6 to this dice pool style roll, meaning that to open our DC 15 lock with a complexity of 3, we need thieves' tools, 3 rounds of time, and a roll of 6d6. Now this is the main part about how you pick the lock. If the player completes their lock-picking roll without rolling any ones, their character successfully picks the lock. If a player rolls a 1 during their lock-picking roll, the character fails and the lock resets. This means that outside of combat, you just roll all the d6s at once, but during combat, or really during initiative, when your rogue is trying to unlock the door so your party can escape the room before it fills with sand, or open the chest in the dragon's hoard where it hides a blade of dragon slaying, you roll 2d6 per round. Remember, You're not
Obviously.
trying to beat a DC anymore. You're just trying to roll those dice without getting any ones. So outside of combat, there might not be any time pressure besides staying hidden.
Yeah.
But if you're unlocking something during
Each
initiative,
round you would be
getting a
rolling
1 and restarting your
D6
lockpicking
is
efforts
2d6
is a big
per
risk.
round.
And that
Use
risk
a fire,
is what
use a
creates
warlock.
tension
Yeah, that's true.
and makes
That's
this
true.
more
Make
fun,
sure you have you with
in
you.
my opinion. And because we're talking about thieves here, of course, there's a catch. Characters trained in lockpicking get a number of re-rolls to avoid failing their lockpicking roll. Any 5e character with proficiency in Thieves' Tools can re-roll a number of 1s equal to their proficiency bonus to avoid failing their lockpicking roll. Furthermore, 5e characters with expertise in Thieves' Tools can re-roll a number of 1s equal to double their proficiency bonus. Characters from other RPG systems may re-roll a number of times at the Game Master's discretion based on the character's background, current skill set, knowledge and experience of thievery, luck, or favor with the gods. Regardless of the system, a character regains all expended rerolls after a night's rest. So right now, I'm a level 1 D&D 5e rogue with proficiency in Thieves' Tools facing a DC 15 lock. Complexity is 3. It's going to take me 18 seconds and a roll of 66 with no 1s. If I'm outside combat, I roll them all at once.
There's a barbarian that just
So I
yanks
rolled
it open.
1-1 right here, but with a proficiency bonus of +2, I can totally re-roll that twice if I need to. And I got a 6, so I am good to go. Lock opened. And if I was doing that during combat, I roll 2d6 per round. Round 1, I roll 2d6. No 1s, we're good. No 1s, still good. Final round. Really don't want to screw it up now.
There's a lot.
And we're good to go. Didn't even need a
like
reroll.
those frosted
Let's
red
just try
dice you
one
got
more
there,
time for
Bob.
the heck of
I
it.
have a set of those. I use them for my barbarian back there.
Okay, 2 1s. So I didn't use any
Actually,
rerolls
those are
yet.
Brock
Let's
eyes.
see. Good on that one, and good on that one as well. So we
Man,
still
you
made it
needed
through,
that.
but that's all of our rerolls with only a proficiency bonus of +2. Now, for everyone who's already tearing up the comment section, I wrote this little section called That's Too Easy / Hard. Replace the D6s with D4s or D8s for higher or lower probability of failure, respectively. In a dungeon or any environment with many locks, only a short period of rest may be required to regain expended rerolls. Each reroll used may add
smart to
1
add
required round of
contingencies there,
picking,
Bob.
and recommended, any
Quite-
failure may result in
quite
signs of
ingenious
tampering,
there, Bob.
such as noticeable scratch marks, a lodged lockpick, or a jammed lock. This last one is recommended because that way, even outside of combat, when there may be no immediate, that's all the info you need to lay it out in a cool and clean PDF that I designed myself. You can pick it up on DriveThruRPG for but $1 through the link below, or pick it up from my Patreon shop tab where it's bundled with a heist-themed 5e one-shot adventure, A Horde on Display. Wink wink, there's a dragon involved. But however you're able to...
I think I'm actually part of his Patreon. I'm gonna go check. Not on camera, but am I? Yeah, totally am. So what's that called? I'm gonna download this. Horde on Display. There it is. Oh, I have to upgrade. Oh shit. I'm not high enough. I am not high enough level to get it. Oh shit. But we'll definitely pick this up on DriveThruRPG. Totes my goats. An Electrum bestseller. Damn, son. Yeah, I'm gonna buy that real quick, and then we'll pull it up. Well, look. I love Bob World Builder. I'm watching him for a long time. Been on his Patreon roll for a bit. And yeah. Got that now. Wow, look at this. Now we got a nice little PDF. Also, I swung back. I was gonna make a comment I was gonna make a comment about these wonderful dice he has back there, which I got a set of thanks to him doing a panel at Pittsburgh Gaming Expo where I got to answer some D&D questions. Apparently, I am somewhat knowledgeable about D&D cosmology. That was not something I was that aware of. Hey, do you have a video of that? I don't remember. I didn't take any videos. I mean, I kind of wish that there was like a video of the whole panel. There were some good questions in that. All right, let's pull up this lock pickery. We'll shrink this down. Put this over there. Window capture 3. Lock pickery. Wait, is it maybe on this side? No, wait, yeah, that should be over here. Hey, look at that. I sent you one when you got those dice. Oh, did you? I don't remember. What, in the Discord? I don't remember seeing any videos in the Discord. All right. Bing. So let's, honestly, I don't mind this. The system that Bob has put together for us. PM. See it. Oh, shit. If you can send it or post it in Discord, I don't remember seeing that. I'll pull it up if it's nothing. It was a public event. More than welcome for people to see shit that goes on in a public event. All right, yeah. So okay, so here's the thing, because this whole thing started. Wait, what? Here. Oh, here. Oh shit. Yeah, it's not gonna play. That's not gonna play up there, I think. Hold on. God, it's probably gonna be so loud to do this. I don't know if this is gonna play well. But okay, there we go. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Look at that fat guy. And there's Bob. Hey, look at that Bob. He's a nice Bob.
Cosmology. Okay.
What's the question?
Which deity in
Which
Faerun,
deity?
sometimes called Foehammer, is represented by a blazing silver sword on a blood-red shield?
So what deity? This okay? Yeah. So for reference, for those of you who might be watching this, don't know what we're referencing or watching this after the fact. Pittsburgh Gaming Expo this year, 2023. What? Good night. Pittsburgh Gaming Expo. Bob Roll Builder and his wife Grace World Destroyer were doing a panel where they were asking some D&D trivia from the Dungeons and Dragons Trivial Pursuit game. And it's D&D is hands down my biggest hobby, and useless knowledge and trivia is like my passion. So obviously combining those two is just going to be the end all be all for me. The question the format of how they were doing it was you would roll a d6 that would give you your category between like characters, adventures, magic, and I forget like what all the other ones were, but let me see if I can find it. Whoa, Hawkif, hey buddy, thank you so much for the sub. You're a good man. You're a good man. So there was there were I'm gonna try and find what the categories are. Trivial Pursuit categories. Oh, here it is. Yeah, here it is. So magic and miscellany, history, monsters, dungeons and adventures, characters, and cosmology. So that's the thing, like those were the different categories, and you would roll a d6 and that would give you that would give you your question. Obviously that's how Trivial Pursuit works, but I got cosmology. And when I was hearing some of the cosmology questions, I'm like, I know these things. So they deal with like the outer planes, they deal with the gods, they deal with all kinds of different things. So the question here was
Sometimes called foe hammer.
In Faerun, a deity in Faerun, also known as foe hammer,
is represented by a blazing silver sword. On a blood red shield. Now,
when he said foe hammer, my mind went between Moradin, who is the dwarven god, who for some reason my mind went to him, because like I always picture him with hammers, and he's like the dwarven allfather, and stuff like that. So like for some reason I had that in mind, but once he said a blazing silver sword on a crimson shield, if you did not know, that is the symbol of Tempest, which just so happened, exactly, Tempest, which just so happens to be in the Phandalin 5 campaign. Hannah's character, Albina, she was a Tempest war cleric for like all up until about maybe 10 sessions ago. But you know, it was funny because like in my mind I was like, oh, this is her. So yeah, that's how I reply.
That is her character's original patron.
It is.
So now I want to point out, because I said this and I realized it after the fact.
Original patron.
I said that it was her original patron. It was technically her original deity, because she's a cleric, not a warlock. He was gonna go fight Tempest, yeah. But yeah, it was just so funny, the fact that it was like a question about Tempest, and in the Phandalin 5 campaign, Tempest has become such a prevalent figure within the group because Albina's character arc has taken her from being this wild kind of like, let's jump in, let's do this, I wanna, you know, I have this burning fire within me, kind of a character, to being more of like, I'm going to keep the people around me safe and protected, because I care about them and I want I want us to continue on. And so that played into a decision from her character when Iggy the Wizard was killed by a firebolt during the siege at the Tower of Storms and at the ghost ship. So when Iggy died, Albina cast divine intervention. She beseeched Tempest to help bring Iggy back, and Tempest saw this as almost a way of going against his teachings and beliefs. The desire, the necessity of death in combat. War ends when one side is victorious, and so he is a warrior through and through. So for Iggy to find his warrior's death, and for Albina to beseech him to change that, and to deny him that in a way, is to kind of spit in the face of Tempest. And so she beseeched him to help, and he did, but he, in that moment, took, he basically downed Albina and also cursed her. And the curse that she has is that when she heals people, she takes damage, and when she gets healed herself, she bleeds. And so but after that fight that night, Tempest, when Tempest gave her that curse, he left her. And so Helm, the Helm is the god of guardians. He is the watcher. He is the one that protects. And Helm saw the vigilance in her, the protective nature that Albina showcased in that moment, and he decided that he was going to allow her, he was not going to allow her to wander the earth, wander Faerun, devoid of any kind of divine touch. Because in a way, Tempest was willing to walk away and kind of like revoke those abilities. And I know in like a lot of D&D campaigns, the gods don't play like heavy roles. I know like in more standard mythos, Ao, the like deity of deities, he hates when gods intervene in mortals' lives, and has such a direct connection. That's actually why stuff like divine intervention and like talking to gods isn't just like a commonplace thing. But in my campaigns, I'm a little bit more lenient on that. I do allow that more often. And so, yeah, Helm basically came down and was like, you know, you have a choice to make. You can stay with a god who has turned his back on you, or you can follow in the path that you were walking and be blessed by my light. So that's a huge factor in her character, and it was just hilarious that like the first question that I got right was regarding her character. So yeah, the gods didn't really play heavy roles in P5 for quite some time. Well, and that's the thing. It's, you know, early on, you guys really didn't have a lot of like holy ties. There wasn't a lot of huge options. Now, Nylor was also a cleric, and what was his first character? Vanadar was a cleric, because Nylor was a druid. But there's always been some like divine connections. But the thing is one of the things you have to consider is like 10th level, like 9th, 10th, 11th level characters. When adventurers start reaching those levels and you start getting into spells like contact other planes and a bit like cleric abilities like divine intervention, the bridge between the grand and the great is shorter, you know. So you know, the adventurers are great in the eyes of the world. Like 9th, 10th, 11th level characters are, you know, super soldiers, and they can change the face of the world. Beyond that, you start getting into the ability to like literally affect the world around you. So the connection to beings beyond your own realm becomes more commonplace and becomes, you know, something that can happen more and more often. And planar travel and all that, you know, is obviously going to be a factor in the upcoming P5 adventures. I don't know how. I don't know. I guess in my mind, you is hated. You is not hated. You is a concerning. You is a character who made some choices that maybe weren't the best. But you know what? I think everybody still loves him because deep down, I actually think you cares as much about the party as Albina. Like in regards to attempts to protect them. You has been willing to kill himself to protect the party. When he fireballed himself, or when you use the telefrag ability, which has the repercussion of you taking damage and getting hurt. You has built himself to be able to withstand death so that he can make sure other people and his party are able to withstand death and fend it off. You know, it's one of those things. I look at you like I look at cough medicine. It might taste a bit funny, and you might kind of make a face when you have to take it. But at the end of the day, I know it's going to make me feel better, and I know it's always there for me when I need it. So you is cough medicine. I don't know if that's the analogy that you were expecting, but that's what I'm gonna go with. Albina is like Pepto-Bismol. She's there to comfort, and is like, you know, very like, you know, pink and bubbly, and I love the taste of Pepto-Bismol. So Pepto-Bismol is the one that I'm like, oh yeah, I got a stomachache, I'm drinking some Pepto. Okay, so back to what we were talking about. So regarding this, oh man, oh wait, never mind. I thought that was gonna be the Thieves' Cant. So yeah, regarding this whole lockpickery thing, I actually don't hate this in any means. The thing for me is that it's rare that I actually use lockpicking in a lot of stuff. I run a lot of pre-made modules, obviously, that is the case. But beyond that, I don't necessarily, I'm not huge and picky about lockpicking. So that's one of those things where something like this, I'm sure that if I was running more like crunchy dungeons, something like this lockpickery would be 100% something I would pull in. But in a lot of cases, when I have the situation arise where there that in my mind would be like, oh, let's just do a D20. You know, let's just do a D20, DC 15. Okay, you know, and realistically, the only thing that I would say that I would actually take from this list is the thieves' tools required. That's the only thing that I would actually take from this list is if the DC of a lock is below 15, you do not need thieves' tools. But if the DC is 15 or above, you need to have thieves' tools. And you need to be proficient in them. So, but no, actually, I wouldn't say that you have to be proficient, but maybe. Hold on, let me hear what he said. Did he actually say? Did he actually say if it was that it requires proficiency, or that
if your complexity is only 1 or 2, then you don't even need thieves' tools to try to pick that lock.
Okay, so this is just that you need the tools in order to
This low complexity represents something like a hook or a latch rather than an actual lock, and there's no reason you wouldn't be able to just use a dagger or just about anything small enough to try to work it open. So, to pick our example DC 15 lock with a complexity of 3...
It is 100% the fact that if you need... Oh man, what a frame. There we go. So it is, yeah, that's really the only thing that I would actually probably take from this, would be if the DC of a lock is 5 or is 15 or below, or is below 15, you don't need thieves' tools. You know, you need a sharp, small instrument. You need like a dagger or a knife or a small crowbar, a climbing piton, you know, something like that. But once you get to like 15 and up, yeah, then you need it. That's probably all I would take, because the big point that I was getting at with this, and I think I may have talked on this before, but it might have just been very short, and honestly, this is also just going to be like my short perspective on it. I don't mind this as a like an extra little thing, but when you start to take stuff like lock picking and you start to gamify it, that is really good for the rogue. Okay, that's really cool for the shadow monk or the like the whisper bard, who might be your lock picker. But are you going to be able to do this with a lot of the other skill stuff? You know, how many things are you going to gamify? Are you going to do something like this regarding stuff that revolves around acrobatics checks? Are you going to do stuff like this for medicine checks? Because honestly, I don't mind the whole roll 2d6, and if you get a 1, that's a failure, or you know you failed it, but you can re-roll it based on, you know, whether you're proficient, or, you know, if you're proficient in you know, in the tools, or blah blah blah, like whatever the case would be. But at that point, you're just in the realm of like easy D6. Okay, that's it. Like that's what easy D6 is. You know, easy D6 is a completely separate game system where, you know, you roll, you know, you have a target. I mean, granted, easy D6 has a target number. So like if a task is hard in easy D6, you have to roll a 4. Okay, so the more dice you have, if you're like trained in a skill, the more chances you have to get that 4, but also the more dice you roll, the more chances you have at failure. You know, and you can kind of push your limit by re-rolling and taking a little bit of damage. But the thing is that you know, when you start getting into that, it's like, okay, how many things am I going to gamify before we're just playing a different game? You know, how many different things am I gonna have to sit here and come up with, you know, stuff like this little table and present to my party to say, okay, you know, what is like, you know, oh, well, you want to do a performance check to make some money. Okay, hold on, let me grab that table, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's one of those things where that's really why D&D is a D20 system. You know, if you're playing easy D6, you're rolling D6s for skills because that's the system. If you're playing something like a White Wolf game, like Vampire the Masquerade or Hunter the Reckoning, or you know, like a not werewolf, yeah, Werewolf by Night. If you're playing like any of those are D10 systems, and it works more like that, where, okay, you have to do, you know, you might need 3 successes for this, you know, to pass this. Maybe the lock complexity is 3. That means that you need to get 3 successes. Well, that works because your dexterity might have 2 points and you might have 3 points in lock picking. So that means you can roll 5d10, and if you get a 6, 7, or yeah, if you get a 6, 7, or 8, or no, I think it's like I think it's like 6, 7, 8, or 9, it's a success. And if you get a 10, it's a success, and you get to roll that die again. But anything you know, a 5 or below is a failure. So that's the thing, you know, it's how many things are you going to gamify? How many things are you going to change before it becomes a different system? So yeah, I don't know. I like it. I might use it in the future in an encounter, or like if I'm running a one-shot that, you know, is more geared around his, you know, something like his heist. Oh, look at that right there. It's only $5. So Rise of the Necrofungus, that sounds sick. Oh, I could have got that for 50 cents. Oh well, Bob, I want to support you. Yeah. So I'm sure that there's plenty of stuff that it can be that it can be used for, and hell, I might use this in a situation or two. But the simplicity of just saying, hey, roll this d20, and add this number to it, and if you get over a 15, you do the thing. I don't know. Bye, Bob. It was good knowing you. No, I want to bring up that board on display. I'm gonna buy that. I want to do that later. Can't say with which group that game will be, that one shot will be run with. All right. Let's see. What's it for? How many characters? Low level. Okay. A Goliath named Goblin. What? Oh, your Goliath build. I see. I vaguely remember you talking about this before. Hauser. I remember. Yeah. How late? Yep. He showed up right at the end of that one shot. Was there. Man, it was just a little late. All right. All right, let me type up my response here. While introducing a variant rolling system for skill checks is fine and all, you have to ponder. We're not going to put ponder. You have to consider the lengths and the lengths you might know. You have to consider the expectations you might set with players for there to be similar systems to other skills in the game. Yeah, I think that'll be it. It's fine, but just consider it. Oh, that's right. Now I remember Hauser. That's right. You had the, it was Goliath because of the stone grip, that talents that allowed you to dual wield great swords. I remember that. All right. All right, what was the other one that you had asked? Build adventures from the end backwards to how the PC gets there. Remember the 3 M's and tie them into the end result. Yeah, millennia ago, months ago, moments ago. Entrance, puzzle, setback, battle, reward. And then threat, time, retreat. So the thing is that I definitely feel like those things, the stuff that Baron was talking about, and to reference Baron, he is from Dungeon Masterpiece. He's extremely smart and very well versed on like political economic systems in D&D, but he is also extremely good regarding building adventures and dungeons. And the thing, I don't really have much to talk about that, because the way that I build my adventures definitely is more specific to the adventures themselves. I don't have like any specific ways, and I don't really have a lot to comment about on that stuff. So, for reference, you can go and check out his stuff. So here it is. So if you are curious, you can go and check out his channel.
Good evening, Dungeon Masters. I'm Baron Durop.
Yeah.
John 4's 5-room dungeon design concept dates back to at least possesses a dungeon room or an obviously clustered group of rooms. Entrance encounter marks some kind of environmental shift, possibly including a dungeon guardian. The following puzzle encounter offers an environmental or roleplay problem for the players to tangle with, ideally in a way that will make them think about the game world as much as they do their character sheet. The setback is a bait and switch or red herring designed to trick the players into thinking they've accomplished something important, when in fact, they've only walked into a narrative or literal pitfall. The battle or boss fight of the dungeon is exactly like what it sounds and serves to be the climactic combat encounter, likely protecting the final reward. This final reward encounter serves to tie the whole adventure together, as well as grant various treasures, boons, and quest MacGuffins the party began the delve looking for. Further, these 5 encounters don't have to be a linear railroad either. There's boons and...
So, I'm actually going to leave a little bit of this up, because
Would be ready is a great way to recall the elements of...
There it is. So I'm actually going to leave this up because the other thing that I wanted to talk on today does kind of like paint this in a really good light. I just don't really have a lot more that I can speak on with it of my own experiences, but I will actually showcase in a way how this can be like, this is something that adventure should have. But we'll get to that in a little bit. So close him out there, and we'll I'm gonna answer a few these last questions that apparently I've had sitting on here, and then we'll go into the other thing that I wanted to talk about, which ties into what Baron was talking about. All right, so would this be a balance feat? Being within 5 feet of a hostile creature doesn't impose disadvantage on your range attack. That's crossbow expert. Your ranged attacks is that sharpshooter. Okay, so hold the fuck on. No, it doesn't. I guess it does take the gunner feat too. But it's also crossbow expert. Or sharpshooter. All right, so gunner is that being within, yeah, it's also the same as crossbow expert. Being within blah blah blah, but whatever. Okay, fine. If we're just going crossbow expert and sharpshooter. Okay, so it combines the weaker features of gunner and the sharpshooter feat, making an expert at ranged attacks. So, okay. Need to have an outline to every story. Yeah. What's up, V? How you doing tonight, man? I didn't see you pop in, but I see you now. Okay. So I want to be clear here. I forget who posted this. I don't have that reference information. Being within 5 feet of a hostile creature not imposing disadvantage is not the weaker feature of the gunner feature. For one, increasing your dexterity is great and all. It's a half feat, so awesome. That's an okay thing. But gaining proficiency with firearms and ignoring the Phillies win, is that a sports team? I don't know sports. Who's the Phillies? Wait, did they? Oh, hey, congratulations! You beat the Arizona Diamondbacks. Oh, that's baseball. Okay. I didn't know who that was. I'm not a sportsman. Okay, so this is huge. I'm glad for you, man. Wait, are you out in Philly? Or are you just a Philly fan? I got a friend that lives out in Philly. All right, so the whole thing about being within 5 feet of a hostile creature not imposing disadvantage is like one of the biggest things that Gunner gives you. There's a lot of campaigns, there's a lot of DMs that won't let you take Gunner because they don't want firearms in their campaign. So the whole fact that Gunner is situational to those campaigns, and most DMs are willing to like work around that. The only thing that Gunner really gives you is the ability to ignore the loading property. The being within 5 feet doesn't impose disadvantage, and you get a dex increase. Mother-in-law is so I am by default. Gotcha. So this is like, also, this is a huge aspect of the feat. This is a huge aspect of the feat. It's like the thing, okay? Because here's the bottom line. Gunner doesn't specify ranged weapon attacks or firearm attacks. It's just ranged attack rolls. So if you have a ranged spell attack falls into that, a ranged weapon attack falls into that. You know, it doesn't it doesn't really matter what you're doing. It's all of your ranged attacks. So if you are a range expert, if that's like what this was going for, that's fine and all. This is like the best feature between Gunner and Crossbow Expert. Also, Sharpshooter, the fact that the attacking at long range doesn't impose disadvantage and you get to ignore cover are not the weaker features of Sharpshooter. the whole I'm gonna take a -5 penalty to my attack roll so I can get a +10 to damage is not great later on. It's not as good as you think later on. Sure, 10 extra points of damage is fine and all, but you have to say whether or not you're gonna do this before you attack. So that means you are risking it. Okay, a -5 penalty is the mathematical equivalency of having disadvantage. Okay, it's like roundabout, but it's like the mathematical equivalency of having disadvantage on an attack. Okay, and sure, if you have a +5 to your dexterity and you have like a +4 or a +3 to your proficiency, and you have a +1 to your weapon, and you have something else, and you have like the ranged fighting style where you get bonuses, and this mitigates it, that's great and all. It's an extra 10 points of damage, but it is only just an extra 10 points of damage. The -5 penalty at the end of the day doesn't really benefit you that much at higher levels when 10 points of damage is barely anything. Now, the whole thing of attacking at long range, not imposing disadvantage, that is huge with weapons like slings, short bows, hand crossbows, light crossbows. I mean, sure, the longbow is 120 to 600 feet or 300 feet. So the fact that let's, here we are, weapon reference. So the fact that like a light crossbow has an effective range of 80 feet, and same with a short bow, and a long bow has an effective range of 150 feet, and a heavy crossbow is 100 feet, like, you are kind of limited to like how far you can shoot before it starts getting out of hand on some of those bigger ones. But like light crossbow, the hand crossbow, the light crossbow, a sling, a short bow, being able to shoot beyond that normal range and not have to take disadvantage is so much better in comparison than you have to make a -5, you take a -5 to hit, but you get a +10 to damage. Like, also, the fact that you get to ignore half cover and 3/4 cover, that in itself is, you know, is a huge factor. Like, this is my DM screen, but right here, half cover, okay? Half cover gives the target a +2 to their AC, and 3/4 gives them a +5 bonus. Let me put this into perspective. If you can ignore 3/4 cover, you are ostensibly giving yourself a +5 to hit. If you can ignore half cover, you are basically giving yourself a +2 to hit on that particular attack. So that's the reality, okay? Exactly what V says. Full range at no disadvantage is huge. Okay, so regarding this question, if somebody were to make a feat where being within 5 feet doesn't impose disadvantage, being at long range doesn't impose disadvantage, and you get to ignore half cover and 3/4 cover, is that balanced? Fuck no. It has no design. See, here's the thing. Crossbow expert is like, if you could take something like crossbow expert, all right, and gunner. Honestly, I'm just gonna ignore gunner because gunner's just its own thing. But if you can take something like crossbow expert and maybe make it something where it's like not necessarily the loading property of crossbows, but say the loading property of ranged weapons. Okay, and sure, that means that really only does apply to mostly crossbows, but it would also apply to the blowgun. It would also, like, the sling uses ammo, but it doesn't have the loading property. Being within 5 feet is not going to pose disadvantage, and also when you attack with a one-handed weapon, you can use your bonus action to attack with a hand crossbow that you are holding. So it, you know, basically it lets you get the extra attack as part of the or it lets you do the two weapon fighting basically with a hand crossbow. But here's the thing, if you were to like change crossbow expert to just be like close ranger or something like that, or like close range, or CQB marksman, okay, something along those lines where it's not specifically just crossbows, but it's any kind of ranged weapons. Each one of them still has its own design. Sharpshooter is meant for you to be like, I am able to attack from so far away, and I don't care if somebody's in cover. The whole thing about ignoring cover is that you are like, it's that you are like not shooting directly at them. It is that you're shooting up into the air, and the arrow is flying in such a high arc that it's coming down on top of them. That's how you're ignoring cover. Or it's about your ability to like bend an arrow around a tree. Okay, because depending on how the fletchings are on an arrow, you can bend an arrow around a tree. But the thing is that, you know, it's highly inaccurate. There's not a lot of power, but like the whole sharpshooter feat is designed to mitigate that. Crossbow expert is supposed to be the whole thing of ranged combat in CQB, in close quarters battling. So it's all about like, I have a crossbow to your stomach, and gunner's basically the same thing, just with, you know, guns. But it's like, oh, I have a hand crossbow to your stomach, or I have a light crossbow to your stomach, and like I can be within 5 feet and still get you. Your character has an innate understanding of physics, yeah. So I don't think, you know, I don't remember who posted this, like I said, but no, this is not balanced. This is not balanced. The features listed are actually the stronger features of the respective feats. There is no real set design to this, but instead is just trying to get a player to have no disadvantage when using ranged weapons. That's all it is. This was I guarantee you this was like somebody, yeah, it's OP. This was somebody sitting down and posting to the DM Academy that was like, I want to play a ranger, but I don't like how you can't. It's like they played like 5 sessions into being a ranger, and this was not on Kel's Corner. This is why it's in the DM's Academy questions. This was somebody who played like 3 or 4 sessions as a ranger, or somebody who had ranged weapons, and the DM told them on numerous occasions, hey, you are you're using a hand crossbow. If you're shooting more than 30 feet away, you have disadvantage. And then they like go up to somebody and want to shoot them in the stomach. It's like, hey, you're firing within 5 feet of them, you have disadvantage. And then them going and like, you know, hey, it's if I want to combine these, is this imbalanced? Because my DM won't let me do this. It's like, yeah, no. Sorry, that was me getting real picky on whoever this person is out there in the ether, but yeah, no, that's just OP. All right. Back on track with the next question. Chapter 8 of the Player's Handbook says, for a long rest, if a long rest is interrupted by a period of strenuous activity, at least 1 hour of walking, fighting, casting spells, or similar adventuring activity, the character must begin a new rest again to gain the benefit from it. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but is that 1 hour applied only to walking or everything else, such as, okay, this was actually just talked about in the most recent UA. I want to yes. So yeah, what it says here is true. This is what the PHB says. They've actually changed this. In the new UA, a long rest is stopped when you roll initiative, cast a spell other than a cantrip, take any damage, and have 1 hour of walking or physical exertion. If the rest was at least 1 hour before the interruption, you get a short rest. So theoretically, this was actually just 1 hour of walking, comma, fighting, comma, casting spells, comma, and other similar adventuring activities. But this means that in any situation where a party is long resting and there's combat, the moment that characters roll initiative, it's interrupted. So it doesn't even matter. It's like, it is not 1 hour of fighting. It is that if you are fighting, if you are casting spells, I actually like this new one because this means that somebody could be sitting there casting a cantrip during a long rest. And you know, while that's not like super crazy, the reality is that if you're able to cast cantrips, like you could be casting Mold Earth for 2 hours, because you know, you figure a long rest is going to be 6 hours of sleep combined with 2 hours of light activity. When you cast Mold Earth, it's one action, and it's every 6 seconds you can cast this, and you can move loose earth and like excavate a 5-foot cube from wherever you are. So you can basically dig a trench that, you know, to like create around your party in a matter of minutes and still have the benefit of the long rest. Or you could cast, I don't know, none of these are really too crazy, but like Ray of Frost, if you're you know, if it's like you're in a hot place. Cantrips are essentially light activity. Well, the thing is that it doesn't classify it now as light activity. It's just that these are the things that where is it? Here it is. A long rest is a period of extended downtime Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. 2 hours of light of light activity. You know, they do. But that's the thing. I'm just looking at it more on what are the things that interrupt it. Okay. Because here's the thing. What if you and your like? What if your character is like out there on a walk, and suddenly they trip and fall, and they fall 10 feet. And they take 1d6 damage. That interrupts their long rest. You know, or a breeze comes by, somebody, you know, something catches them off guard and they take 1 damage. That means that their whole thing is interrupted. All right, buddy, you have a good night. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I did find it funny that they changed like how this was accounted for. But as per what we are doing, you know, what most games are still managing, I would say cantrips are still casting a spell. A ritual is like, ooh, that would be a point. That's a good point to make. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that being a house rule to make regarding the new system. Yeah. All right, so 1 hour only applies to walking. There we go. Next question. How do I determine the number my players will need to roll in order to succeed skill checks? Is it all arbitrary on how hard I think the check should be, or is there some kind of guideline? Long rest is making, yeah. Right here. To those wondering the same question, right there. That's it. How do you determine the number your players need to roll in order to succeed skill checks? This is it. Task difficulty. DC stands for difficulty class. And the way that you determine it is that if it is a very easy thing that anyone should be able to do, it's a 5. If it's an easy thing that most people should be able to do without much effort, it's a 10. Because a 10 is that somebody with no bonus to that, a commoner, can succeed on that task half of the time. Okay? Very easy is they can succeed on that task 75% of the time. So there's only about a 25%, you know, risk of failure. Medium is that you only have a 25% chance of success without any bonuses. And over 10 kills, what? Over 10 kills long rest? What does that mean? So CR, I see. Over 10 CR kills long rest. Oh wait. 10 kills. You'll have to explain what you're saying. What do you mean kills long rest? Not catching it. All right, I'm gonna answer this. It is semi-arbitrary, but should be considered regarding how difficult that task would be for a commoner in a normal situation. So when you think about it, like climbing a tree, most people can climb a tree, okay? Climbing a tree is not a hard thing to do, but climbing a tree is also not an easy thing to do for a lot of people. If you're trying to long rest, CR 10 or above stop. Oh, I see what you're saying. I think if you're trying to long rest and anything shows up, it interacts. Where's my back scratcher? I personally think that rolling initiative should break your long rest. I actually do agree with that. But I don't think anything, I wouldn't like set it by the CR, but I think anything attacking your thing should break your long rest. Whether it's a surprise or not, if you have an elf, if you have a warforged, if you have a warlock with aspect of the moon, if you have whatever you might have that makes it so that one of your characters doesn't have to sleep anymore and they're constantly on watch and they're just in like an inert state, but they're still able to like perceive everything. You might not be surprised, but you're still going to be attacked. You're still going to have your long rest broken, and you're still going to have to restart it. And I honestly think that is the only way to do it in most situations. Now, there is stuff like Liamin's tiny hut, which is obviously its own thing, where the party could be like in that, and then creatures on the outside can't affect it. And funny enough, I actually brought this up to some of my players more recently at my library game, where I made the comment about having having long rests only give you the full benefits if you do it in a safe and secure place like a tavern or an inn or a temple. If you're out in the wilderness, and you make camp for the night and you just fought like a horde of owlbears and fell off a 200-foot tall cliff and you're down to 1 hit point and you have no spell slots, how does going to sleep in the bog of screaming waters give you a full, like, how does that fully recover you? Like, how are you waking up the next morning with 200 hit points and the ability to like do all your shit again? So I've felt that way for a while. I'm not going to change it in any of the campaigns that I'm in, but I definitely feel like in campaigns I run in the future, I'm going to implement the rule of you can only gain the benefits of a long rest if you are resting in a place that provides you with safety and security. And to which point one of my players brought up Liamin's tiny hut, and I said that would work because Liamin's tiny hut does expressly say that the inside is comfortable. Where is it? Yeah, the atmosphere inside the space is comfortable and dry, regardless of the weather outside. So it is like, hey, yeah, this is a safe and secure place. But the reality there is that, you might you might have an errant wizard that comes by and dispels it at some point. You know, that's my perspective. I never understood losing all benefits of a long rest. If you did get over half or so that's the thing. If you get over half or most of the time in, that's not what it is. A long rest is 8 hours long. If you do not hit that full time, you don't get the effects of a long rest. Now, if you got at least an hour, you get a short rest. So there you go. Like, there are some benefits, but you do lose the effects of a long rest, because at that point you start coming into arbitrary meanings of like, okay, well, I was like, we rested for 6 hours and then the things attacked us, so I should get back, you know, like, what, 70% of the things that I should get. Like, I'm gonna get back 70% of my X amount of things. And the problem with that is now you're having to do really ridiculous math. You're having to then, you know, because it would be 12.5. You know, you'd have to multiply however many hours your character's long rested times 12.5. That becomes your percentage. Your whatever level wizard is gonna have to sit there and say, you know, okay, if you're a 5th level wizard, you have 4 first level slots, 3 second, and a 3rd. So a 3rd arguably counts as 3 first level slots. Like, is that a way that you can do it? Are you going to recover, you know, like, what would it be? Hold on, let me look. 6 times 12.5. Yeah, so yeah, like, are you going to recover 75% of your hit points? You know, if you got, because I'm not going to do that math. Like, bottom line, if your long rest is broken, then it's just that. And like it says here, you can resume a long rest immediately after an interruption. If you do, it requires 1 additional hour per interruption. So, like, they don't even have it anymore where it's like fully losing the benefits. But if you're on a time constraint, okay, if you can't take those extra hours to rest and you have to wake up like at a certain time to go and do certain things, and you are on more of a schedule, okay, we're only getting a short rest, you know. But otherwise, hey, okay, cool, let's pop on an extra hour. Like, we're not waking up at 8, we're waking up at 9. Although I don't think many DMs have the party get disrupted. Oh, you know what? There's a lot of DMs that roll on tables to determine things that can happen, and so they could. If you have an 8-hour, if you have a normal long rest, yeah, that's what hit die are for. That's right. Like, if you have a normal long rest for 8 hours and you don't have anyone that can stay up for longer than 2 hours, like if you have a human wizard, a dwarf fighter, a Kalishtar barbarian, and a, I don't know, Furbolg druid, and maybe a goblin cleric. Okay, if that's your party, you're only gonna have like 1 or 2 people being up every 2 hours. So you're gonna have them like watching the party in shifts. So a DM might have a table of random events that can occur every shift or every hour. So the DM might roll on a table and it might be, you know, okay, on a, they might roll a d20, and on a 1 through a 10, nothing happens. But on an 11 through a 14, you get like a random encounter from that area. Like maybe you're in the forest, so maybe it's some boars, or maybe it's a pack of gnolls going hunting. Maybe you have like a stranger show up. Maybe there's like an environmental change and stuff like that. And so every hour the DM is rolling that. So they'll roll 2d20 per shift. I do that with my library group, because the thing is, in my library group, nobody has a feature where they can stay up for hours on end. That's just not something anybody in that party can do, because that party consists of a half-elf, or sorry, 2 half-elves, a changeling, a human, a gnome, and a dragonborn. There's nobody in this party that can stay up more than 2 hours at any given time. So unless the warlock is casting Liamon's tiny hut and nobody has to keep watch, everybody is everybody's having to pull some shift. So, and you're gonna have some shifts where you have, you know, one person, you know, watching, unless you like really splitting it up. I'm not saying well, so here's the thing, elves can beat that. So, and it's the thing is that it was changed in the errata, and it was specified in the whatchamacallit, I can't think of what it's called. Sage, yeah, the Sage Advice Compendium. This is the one that I'm thinking of. So here, racial traits. Does the trance trait allow the elf to finish a long rest in 4 hours? So when we look at the elf race, oh wait, I went the wrong way. Here we are. So we're gonna look at the original elf race. It says elves don't need to sleep. Instead, they meditate deeply, remaining semi-conscious for 4 hours in a day. While meditating, you can dream after a fashion. Such dreams are actually mental exercises that become reflective through years of practice. After resting in this way, you gain the same benefit that a human does from 8 hours of sleep. And this is where the errata changed it. Okay? This was the original phrasing. And then the Sage Advice column came in, and Jeremy Crawford was asked, because the long rest says, or the player's handbook states, a long rest is 8 hours long, during which a character sleeps for at least 6 hours and performs no more than 2 hours of light activity. That would state that because this 4-hour trance gives the same benefit of sleeping for 8 hours, that would argue that that covers this at least 6 hours of sleep. But it would require you to still have no more than 2 hours of light activity. So you still have to do 8 hours long. It's just you're only sleeping, trancing for 4 hours, and you have 4 other hours to do light activity. So, but the Sage Advice column smacks that in the face, because it says if an elf, because Jeremy Crawford claims, if an elf meditates during a long rest, as described in the trance trait, they finish the rest after only 4 hours. A meditating elf otherwise follows all the rules for a long rest, only the duration is changed. So he basically says, even though this says that it's the sleep aspect, it is that they only need to trance for 4 hours and then they get the benefits of a long rest. I don't necessarily agree with that, you know, because the thing is that it's like, I read it the way the original one was set up. Now, other books and errata have come down in time, and they have always basically said the same thing, where it is that it's 8 hours of sleep, and that's fine. But like, again, it is that your character needs to sleep for 6 hours, but they've started adding this whole thing of, if you meditate during a long rest, you finish the rest after only 4 hours. Like I said, that was always a big point of contention for me when they changed that, because there's a lot of things that I don't agree with that Jeremy Crawford says, like, oh god, it's in here, hold on, it's Dragon's Breath, come on, is this it? Yes. Okay. No, not that one. No, it's twin spells. Here it is. Oh wait, no, not that one. What? Have they removed it? Oh my god, they may have removed it. There was a big point of contention where it was like, if, oh, hold on, I have to look, I'll look this up. Jeremy Crawford, Dragon's Breath. Yes, here it is. So one of the other things that I don't agree with Jeremy Crawford. So the spell Dragon's Breath is a spell available to sorcerers. It states you touch one willing creature and imbue it with the power to spew magic energy from its mouth. Now, the twinned spell metamagic states that when you cast a target when you cast a spell that targets only one creature and does not have a range of self, you can spend a number of points equal to its level to target another creature within range. Since you're only targeting one willing creature with a touch spell, Dragon's Breath can be twinned, in my opinion, because it meets this requirement. The spell is incapable of targeting more than one creature. I can't upcast this to cast it on more creatures, and I can't touch more than one creature to do this. But Jeremy Crawford claims that Dragon's Breath has 2 sets of targets: the creature you give it to and the creature in the area of effect created by the spell. Therefore, Dragon's Breath does not get the benefit of twin spell. And I don't agree with that. Yeah. Dragon's Breath can affect more than one creature with the exhalation, therefore it can't be twinned. No, Jeremy. No. I understand you make the rules, but I'm not going to follow that. So, yeah, there's a lot of shit that I don't agree with that Jeremy Crawford has changed. And, you know, the whole thing about like certain races just being able to skip full-on rests, that's not one of those things that I'm like, that's a hill that I'm willing to like die on. Warforge is another one. It's like, when you take a long rest, you must spend at least 6 hours in an inactive, motionless state rather than sleeping. So you get your 2 hours of light activity, and then you get the same benefit of sleeping, but you're in an inactive, motionless state where you are not unconscious and can see and hear as normal. Or like the Borg. Oh, Borg. Yeah. Or the aspect of the moon invocation that simply states you no longer need the sleep. You gain the benefits of a long rest. You spend all 8 hours doing light activity. Like, this is how I look at it. It's more about, you have more time to do light activity, but you can't sleep for you can't trance for 4 hours and then, go out and, like, again, it's kind of one of those things of, oh, I just fell off a cliff and I took 190 points of damage. I'm going to sleep it off for 4 hours and I'm good. No, you're not. All right. Back to where we were. How do I make the big bad's character sheet? Do I make it as a player would, or do I select an NPC? I'm totally new at being a DM, and I'm confused on all the new. Okay, I'm gonna put on here. Never. I repeat. Never. I thought this was in talks about not having folks who can keep one. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. That was the point of it all. Yep. Having to rest and, Oh, yeah. It was regards to Liamon's tiny hut. And getting long rests only when you're in, like, safe and secure places. All right, so how do I make it as a player would? Never, I repeat, never make an NPC from a player character. The abilities and features designed for players are not tested against the other traits and features for players, and the game was not designed for that kind of use. That's pretty simple. In my opinion, obviously, but I'd say do what I do if you're making a big bad. Find a cool monster or NPC stat block that kinda does what you want to do, what you want it to do, and then find some other cool monsters or NPCs, NPC stat blocks that have some cool abilities, and tack them onto your big bad. That's what I do. I find it like a base of what I want, and then I'll like, oh, I like this feature from this monster, but I'm gonna take away, that makes them too strong, so I'm gonna take away this feature. Or it's like, oh, I like these couple features from these two monsters, so I'm just gonna make my own and like take bits and pieces of each one. That's how I do that. You know what? Let's keep going with this. Let's keep going. Answer some more questions from the DM Academy. Thinking of running a new campaign for some friends. I'm super into Magic the Gathering. Disagree. Why wouldn't the big bad be equal to or more? Okay, so I agree that a big bad should have their own abilities, but for example, I would not take a player. I guess what I'm saying is I would not sit down and make a player character sheet and play that as the big bad. Like, I'm not going to sit down and make a 12th level paladin with ability score increases and feats and magic items and all of that. I'm not gonna make a character and then say, oh, this is an NPC, because I just feel D&D is designed where your players have more powerful features regarding their classes and their subclasses and all that versus NPCs. And the way that NPCs are designed is to be more basic and generic, but things that you can tack onto. No feats, just ability scores. I can see that. Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't personally think that, you know, I would never make a character and then pose that as pose that as like the big bad. You know, for example, I made Brutus Bjorn because I would play him as a character, but if I ever actually wanted to have Brutus Bjorn, the leader of the Bear Bandit Barbarians, show up in my campaign, I would go to something like this site, the RPG Tinkerer, and I would go up into here and we would make, say, a Berserker. I would do human. I would give them a good array, because good array would have an ability score increase or two. And then I'm gonna say for a he's gonna have a D8, and let's say oh god, sorry, I forgot. I keep forgetting that I have ads now. You know, I would look at something like this, where, okay, this is a Berserker. I would probably take something like this and then like build onto it. You know, I would raise his charisma up a little bit. But I would say probably, you know, 10 hit die would be fine. And then we're gonna build that NPC. And his name is going to be Brutus Bjorn, and there we go. There's his character. He has proficiency with intimidation and athletics. He has multi-attack. He carries a great axe and a javelin, and he has indomitable, where he has advantage against being frightened, which is a barbarian feature. And he also has you're coming with me. When the Berserker drops to 0 hit points, they can make 1 melee weapon attack as a reaction to a creature within 5 feet of them. So, you know, that right there, there's my character. I would not want to go through, as I'm trying to play against the party, and like okay, you know, I'm gonna enter a rage, and like, okay, he gets advantage on dex saves. He also has reckless attack. You know, I also have guardian shield because of his back or because of his race and stuff like that. Like, no, this is my NPC version of him. This is what I would run. But hey, we are each different, and that's the beautiful thing about D&D. We each have our own opinions, and I respect yours. Honestly, you're like one of the people that I do respect. You and I agree on a lot of things, and you know, I don't know if it's like echo chamber style, but that's definitely how I felt. All right. Thinking of running a new campaign for some friends. I'm super into Magic the Gathering. Was thinking of running the Strixhaven or Guild Masters guidebooks. Was wondering how to introduce my players to the additional additions and changes. Do I just tell them about the currency changes, classes, races, and such at session 0? I don't really want to just tell them to read the book. So, to this person, yeah, do a session -1. Sit down with your players and give them the Cliff Notes version. Yeah, the Cliff. Yeah, I don't know why I was going to quote that. Give them the Cliff Notes of the system and setting you want to use, and then let them brainstorm some things. Then, when you come together for the session 0, where you make your characters and discuss the actual campaign structure, then you can focus on what needs to be accomplished for that. Or send them the important notes on what matters to you regarding the changes that you feel are important. There we go. I think that's a an understandable, or I think that's a decent way to answer that one. So that's how I would do it. I would like sit down with everyone who is going to be playing in that. I'm going to say like, okay, so need to understand what matters to them and adjust the. That would be the session 0. That to me would be the session 0. Like the session -1 is going to be like, okay, so look, I want to do the campaign in like the Strixhaven Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica setting. There's like these aspects of it that I really like, and these are what I want to introduce, and this is the stuff that I might be presenting to you guys. So here's like how some of that stuff is represented in the game, and as long as you explain that to them, then once you come together for the session 0, you're already going to have that. You might before that, during the session -1, the party might be like, oh yeah, I don't like any of this, and like, let's not use these. And then for the session 0, it's like, okay, as long as they're on board with that, it's like, okay, cool. Now we're gonna sit down. We're gonna make our characters. This is the campaign that we're gonna run. Like, here's the world. What do your characters want to accomplish? Because honestly, that is something that I haven't actually done in any of the campaigns that I've ran. And not gonna lie, I feel like I am missing out in a sense on some things, because I have never sat down with my players and said, you know, okay, here's the world. Here's one of the things that I'm going to have present. Here's like one of the main, story points that I'm going to have present in the campaign. Let's talk about your characters and let's build the campaign around them. Like, let's build the campaign around what your characters want to accomplish. And that's something I actually want to do. What if your character wants to be an anti-hero? There is an aspect of that, like my initial response to that, the spy. My initial response to that is I don't let players play evil characters that are working against the party. I don't want that in my games, because I feel that I feel like unless I fully trusted the player who would be trying to do that, to not go chaotic evil and just be a dick, I just wouldn't let it happen. Now, if it was somebody that I could trust, if like, for example, one of my good friends, Jay, if he was in one of my campaigns and wanted to play a character who was secretly working, was kind of like working both sides of it, I know that I could trust him not to fuddle with it. So yeah. Now, see, the funny thing is like when I read anti-hero, I always think of like Venom. I always think of like Venom from Spider-Man, or what's his face? Billy the Butcher from the Boys, where it's like, okay, they're not evil, they're not evil. They have their own code of ethics, and they are actively trying to combat the evil, but they're willing to cross the societal boundaries in order to get done what needs to be done. And I don't have an issue with stuff like that, where if you want to play like a chaotic good character, because that can totally work. Again, I just feel like in that respect, I would want to know that the person playing it knows what that means. All right. I have been wanting to build, where does me fall? He is, oh God. Where does me fall? He is not anti-hero, but out and out told Aubrey about, wait. Oh, I was like, wait, who the fuck is Aubrey? Aubrey Silverspun. Okay. Where does me fall? He is not an anti-hero, but out and out told Aubrey about the egg when none of us were around. Me is... So here's the thing, okay? To understand me, you have to understand, you have to look at him in everything that he has said regarding his backstory, okay? Me and you, the rogue and the warlock, were pirates. Pirates are inherently unlawful, chaotic, and they were out there, you know, doing what they had to do to survive. They killed, they stole, they robbed, they pirated. Me's goal was to become a great pirate. His crew in recent time, his crew, alongside you, the warlock, they were attacked by the cult of the Black Dragon. And after they were attacked and their crew was killed, that includes Captain I, that includes they, and them and we and the whole pronoun crew. When they were killed, he wants revenge. So that's his whole thing. He wants revenge against them. But at the end of the day, his goal is still what that initial aspect was. He wants to be a great pirate. He wants to be somebody that is out there, who is the captain of a great pirate ship. And especially now, his goal is to be his goal now is to captain the ship that carries dead souls. Kind of like Davy Jones in the Pirates of the Caribbean, where instead of having a ship of sailors that made the wrong bet or that, made the wrong, choices, I only ever watched it once. He wants it to be a place where those who have passed on can find a connection to the material plane. That's his goal. That's what he wants. He wants to be a pirate out on the seas that has a ghost ship. So his desire to get revenge on the Black Dragon cult and to become a great pirate, if that means that he's willing to trust somebody that he knows, like Aubrey Silverspawn, because they have history about very touchy information, such as the Black Dragon egg that the party is in possession of, that does not go against, what's up, Ms. Roy? Him telling Aubrey about the egg doesn't go against a law, chaos, good or evil spectrum. Because that's obviously what we're talking about for the most part. We're talking about like alignments almost. Him telling Aubrey about the egg doesn't make him against hero or anti-hero. In my opinion, I would say Aubrey is, in my opinion, I would say me is closer to an anti-hero than he is a hero. Okay? I don't think me is going out there doing stuff for altruistic means. He is fighting evil because he wants revenge, and he doesn't care if he steals from people. Like, I mean, he literally was out there pickpocketing people during a little, welcoming the folks from Phandalin and Delilah. He was literally going around stealing from people's pockets. So he's not lawful, he's not, if anything, he's chaotic neutral. He's not good or evil. He's not doing things. He's not just going to go out and murder somebody in cold blood, but he might turn a blind eye from, helping somebody because he doesn't feel like it. But that's about it. Because not exactly he's not working against the party in really by any means. He's looking at it from the perspective of the party wants to stop the cult of the dragon. Okay, the Phandalin Five's main quest is they have been tasked with stopping the cult of Tiamat from summoning Tiamat. That's the main quest of the campaign. Like, that's the whole thing. Okay, how you guys are going about doing that when those opportunities come up is up to you guys. But that is not me and you's goal. Me and you's goal does align with that, okay? Because here's the five heads that P5, or that Albina, Smith, Seftis, and Iluna want to take care of. They want to take down the white, black, blue, red, and green cults of the dragon. Me and you only care about the Black Dragon cult. They don't really care about the other ones. It just so happened that they were willing to help you guys with the White Dragon cult because it furthers their goals. But unexpectedly told of the egg? Wait, are you referring to the fact that he unexpectedly told Aubrey of the egg, or that he was told of the egg? Because I don't know what you mean by unexpectedly told of the egg. Unexpectedly, okay, but that's because he doesn't care. It's two factors. It's because he doesn't care, and it's because he knows he can trust Aubrey. Him and Aubrey have a history. Aubrey used to be somebody that was, somebody to him. Okay, they have a history. So that would be, it would be like if me told Captain I, that they were carrying it. It was somebody that he knew he could tell, and it was somebody that could potentially have offered a solution or a way to mitigate that potential situation that he could trust in a way that might have been, the same mindset of when Iluna told Runara. It was somebody that she felt she could trust. It was somebody that she felt could mitigate the situation they were in. Now, obviously, I can't speak for Jared. I'm obviously only looking at this from the grandest of perspectives. But the reality there is that me trusted Aubrey enough to want to tell him of what's going on so that he was in the loop. But yeah, he doesn't have a, I don't want to say he doesn't have respect for the party to not, or to let them in on them knowing. All right, V, have a good night, man. But he doesn't feel that it's his prerogative to just, worry about letting you guys know. Just hold him as a valuable item. Yeah, well, that is the case. Aubrey is somebody in the market. I mean, again, I can't speak to Me's reasonings of why he did, or why he told him. I can only speculate. I know a lot, like I do know some of the stuff that Jared wants to do outside of like the main drives of the campaign. So, you know, that's a thing, but at the end of the day, you know, it is more to his knowledge of, you know, what reasons he would have told Aubrey about that stuff. Okay. Move on to our next question. I've been wanting to build out my world in my spare time more. Okay, I've been wanting to build and flesh out my world in my spare time more ever since I started writing up my starting town and the other areas. Are there any parts / aspects of a world people would recommend fleshing out when doing initial world building? I've so far gotten my starting town, another town, a larger city, a nearby adventure location. It's fairly bog standard high fantasy, if that helps. Oof, my nose is stuffy. Honestly, yeah, advice against doing too much of it up front. Yeah, I tend to agree with this shiny Gurin. I am currently in the process of designing a campaign world. I have a town. I have the starting town. I have some NPCs rolled up. I have some shops that are available. But you seem to world building as things go along. Yes. So I prefer. There was a time where I got super heavy into world building. Oh shit! Didn't mind click that. I was building the world known as Omera, and I built a lot of it. But the problem is. The problem is that when you what the it's funny. The problem is that when you do a bunch of world building first and foremost, and you do a ton of stuff, you run the risk of that stuff never being seen. Okay. In respect to the campaign I was gonna run that took place in the world of Omera, that campaign never happened. It became my Rime the Frost Maiden campaign, which obviously takes place in Icewind Dale. The world of Omera has never seen the light of day in a campaign. There's a lot of history tied up in that world, and the thing is, the campaign that I'm even like speculating of designing right now, I would not want that campaign to take place in Omera, because there's a lot of stuff in Omera that I would have to just like kind of wipe out. You know, that's one of those things. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I don't know where it would be. Omera. Not in there. Let's look under Dropbox. Come on. What the fuck? Dropbox just said, fuck you. What the hell? Why is that happening? Every time I try and pull up my Dropbox folder, it's just not working. that's not good. Okay, hold on. Okay, this. Oh shit, did not mean to click that. Okay, that's weird. There's something that is not letting me access my main Dropbox folder. So I'm gonna go try and move it on my phone real fast. I'm actually gonna go use the bathroom, so I will be right back. Hell yeah, chair stream. I'm all about that. Okay. Figured out what folder it was in. So let's see if I can. There we go. So here's the thing. This is the world of Omera. Now, the thing is that the campaign that I am writing is taking place. I gotta find my notes. There it is. It's taking place in the world of, I called it Illendor. And it has kind of three main features. If you kind of imagine this world, it would be that there's a coastline that is most of the civilized world. And then there is a bunch of islands out in the sea. And then in like right if you kind of like go from where it says Platinum Peaks, or even I would say this mountain range basically, but like somewhere about halfway down, the rest of the world is cut off, and it was a land of just fog known as the Haslands. And something has caused the veil of fog to lift. And so now there's this big push by Queen Seraphine of Calabastia, which is essentially the replacement here of Balaxia. I use that terminal. I use that like ALA a lot. But basically the whole thing is like, hey, go in to see what is there, and from there, you know, discover, adventure, do things there. So it's like, but the nice thing is like, that could be a thing, but there's also adventures to be had along the main like stretch of coast. And then on top of that, there would also be the island nations that can have their own adventures. So I have to build that map, but I was thinking about it recently. I was like, well, can I like split Omera and like not have the Ampid Sea, and you know, not have like, you know, the Franz Vein grasslands and the Cratalis wilds, and like just cut off all of this, get rid of the Rimical Hoarfrost, and just like everything from these mountains down the spine of Ildon, across Aaron's Scar, down Vikar's Divide, everything east of that is the same. You know, you would still have like you know, the dwarven lands of Vinkuldir and Darladir, but like Darladir would be in the mountains and like you don't cross over. You would still have Glendale Wood, and like, you know, Yasahona and Morinridge, where the Wood Elves and the High Elves are. You'd still have like the humans essentially, but like the Franzbrain Glasslands, where like Armskirk was, this was all like halflings and like humans and stuff. Skyloft could still be there, arguably, and Dazgru and the Barren Waste could still be there. You'd be cutting off the jungles, but that would be fine. I mean, you're not technically cutting off anything, but it's like all of this has to be redesigned. Like, all of this would have to be redesigned. And then I would also have to, like, extend the map east or west, because I would want to put more islands in. Like, Nasomin was going to be just, like, a little small village, or was, like a small fishing community off just, like, a cluster of islands. You know, that was, like, one of those things. And then the Draco Charlands just wouldn't exist. I don't know, maybe I will. Maybe I'll give Omera its, you know, time to shine. Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, definitely one of the things that I am doing with it. Also, when you started talking about the new campaign, I did wonder. Yeah, it's just because there's a lot of like thought already tied up into Omera with how certain things work in it, and I'd have to redo a lot of it. So like my mind went, I just make a new one. But yeah, so I don't recommend doing what I did. Okay, that was the thing that I wanted to get at. I don't recommend doing what I did. Don't sit there and make a whole world that you have like the history of a town. You have the history of like 7 or 8 different duchies, or small kingdoms throughout the lands, and like the hierarchy and families going back 7 or 8 generations. Like I wouldn't wish that upon anyone, but the way that I like doing stuff more is where I let the players have more say in stuff, and also to let them world build with me and we world build together. But the problem with that is that you can sometimes build yourself into a corner where you might get caught up with like, let's say the barbarian has this person in their background and the rogue has this person in their background, and like this person is clearly a dragonborn and this person is clearly a gnome, but then as you like start to build it out, it becomes like, oh, they're the same character, and you could play it up or like, oh, they're a changeling, but then it's like, okay, what if they were like in the same place at the same time? How did this one person not bring up this one aspect? Or like this location shouldn't exist kind of stuff. So that to me is actually why I like playing campaigns in pre-existing worlds like Faerun. That was a thought of mine when I double clicked. That was definitely a thought of mine where I was like, oh shit, I can just take the map of Faerun and I can basically say, okay, we're gonna take from, this river up here, just east of Mithril Hall, this, and we're gonna go like straight down, okay, and or like cutting the high forest in half and like going from the Kingdom of Many Arrows down past Mithril Hall, through the Star Mounts, and having it like basically follow the coastline of where anything east of that, everything over here would be, the adventuring area, would be places that the players could go and explore. And just having like, the coast exist in its own capacity for adventure. And then, just like, oh yeah, like there's also, the Moonshay Isles and the Whalebones, and like there's islands out here that you can explore. There's a part of me that just wants to do that. Like, I just want to do that. Like, I want to say like, oh, this is all taking place in Waterdeep, and it's like I could just do fully established I could do fully established environments, and there would be all kinds of maps. I mean, fuck it, I have maps of Waterdeep. I have labeled maps of Waterdeep that are thousands of pixels big. Like I could literally pull up anything I wanted and like, say, oh yeah, no, this location is over here, and oh, you want a textiles place? Awesome. The House of Textiles, the Golden Horn of Golden Horn Gambling House. Like, there is such a part of me that wants to take the easier route, because I personally feel like when I have something like these maps, you know, then it's a lot easier. You can pull up anything you wanted and just say that's, yeah, see, I don't like that. I don't like that. You know, like I could go on here and I could erase Waterdeep and basically say, oh, this is Calabastia. You know, this is it. But, you know, the region around it, you know, wouldn't be the same. Again, it's more, there is like my own expectations. You know, there is definitely a part of me that's like, it's my own expectations that play into this, you know, but I don't know. There's a lot I want to do. Then you get all the resources you mentioned. Yeah, oh no, I know. Believe me. But again, for me, it's more like there's a part of me that wants to take Omera and redo it. That, you know, it's a land that I know and I've worked a lot of history into it, so I would be able to play into it. I don't know why I pulled this up and I didn't just pull this up. God. Reload. What is that? Sea of Swords. You know, but that's the thing. It's like, you know, if I'm using Faerun, I can have a map like this and, you know, oh, I have all these locations that I can play on. And if I want to have an adventure in the mountains, okay, cool. It's like, it's up here. So, and that's the thing, you know, it's like, would I mind, you know, cutting Omera in half and redoing the entire east side of it? No. Do I want to? No. You know, at the same time, do I want to make a whole new map and have to name everything and do everything? No, I don't want to do that. You know, but do I also, you know, do I want to cut Faerun in half and try and figure out like new lore for the entire eastern side of this? Part of me says no. You know, it's like the easy thing, you know, there's no easy route in any of this. I either have to make a map and I'm going to have easier time building the lore, or I have an easy map and I have to rework the lore. So yeah. Oh God. It's your schmo. Oh wait, I know why. We need to put this back over there. So yeah. I mean, I think my issues are definitely a little bit my issues definitely are like, you know, before like what this person has already invested into. My answer to this, though, bottom line, flesh out the areas that your players are going to be exploring within the first, say, 10 sessions. Okay? Give yourself like 2 or 3 adventures within a small area and let that then build and design what the rest of your campaign area can look like. Build and flesh out the first town / starting area and let your players have a say in some of the world building. Then, as you need locations, build them as you go. right. Oh, my neck. If a wild magic sorcerer gets affected by the blue skin curse surge. Okay, I'm unaware of that. Let me look up. Wild magic surge table. Oh no, that's not the right one. Wild magic surge. Okay. Let's look at blue. Your skin turns a vibrant shade of blue. A remove curse spell can end this effect. Okay. Now that we know, if a wild magic sorcerer gets affected by the blue skin curse surge while being in a state similar to astral projection, should the body still be affected once he is back in reality? Okay. So astral projection is a thing. That is like a full-on spell where the material body is left behind. But I agree with Eurasian. There is no raw to this, but it's a 9th level spell. If you get to the ability, if Aaron or Smith gets to the ability of taking a 9th level spell, neither one of them is going to take astral projection. They're going to take wish, because everyone does, or Hannah. Everyone takes wish, but I would say it would. I would say it would. Because it's so when you are astral projecting, you leave behind your material body. Can confirm both high-level casters in my PF2 game took the wish equivalent when we got the... Yes, that's exactly it. I'm gonna say that if you are astral projecting, it is that your skin, your astral projection does not have skin, okay? Your astral body resembles your mortal form in almost every way, replicating it. It's just, like, yeah, it's you. Like, I would argue that it is your skin. So even if I would say arguably, it'd probably also be your astral body as well. I'm gonna say both. Yes. Both bodies belong to the same sorcerer that got cursed. Yeah. If it's cut, that can only happen your soul and wait. If the cord is cut, something that can only happen when an effect specifically states that it does, your soul and body are separated. Okay, so yeah, allowing your body and possessions are transported. Okay, so that's the thing. It's like you're still connected. Yeah, I would say yes. Both bodies belong to the same sorcerer, and are connected via the silver thread. So you both got cursed. Yeah. That's what I would say. All right, my players love taking short and long rests. They'll do it after every group of mobs if they could. Similarly, we have a dwarf forge cleric who really wants to spend some time at a forge making weapons and armor. I don't really have any punishment for spending time doing something, but perhaps more pressing. I don't have a way to make the player feel like time is actually passing. I feel like saying, okay, you spend a month in town hammering at the fort, pay 30 gold for your food, water, and shelter is hardly a cost. The time, it's the time of them spending a month. What happens in a month? How can I make the passage of time matter in a way that's meaningful, represents choices, impacts the players in town? Okay, if one of your players wants to spend a month in town doing something, what is stopping the rest of your players from going out and adventuring without them? Like, that's my question. You know, like, a month is a long time, and campaigns have to have something pressing on them. You know, this is something that I've struggled with contemplating a time skip in my own campaign. You know, the town of Phandalin has just migrated into, combined into the town of Lylon. But the party still has to, you know, deal with the cult of Tiamat. But I wanted there to be a time frame that existed where Phandalin could assimilate into Lylon, and that could be fleshed out, and that could be, you know, played into for my players to have influence in the town that they are helping build. Now, how do you do that when there's a cult actively like working against you? Well, you make that cult, you know, go away for a little bit and make them not have any activity in the area for a spell, you know, or, you know, well, for a spell, but for like for a time, you know. And for example, in my P5 campaign, that is going to be about a month, you know, 30 days, because the cult is going to other planes of existence, because they realize there are factions and parties working against them. You know, one of the worm speakers has already been killed, and you know, there is now something that you know, that's something that they can't risk for everyone, so they have to go and get stronger. And there's something that they're going to be doing while they are out there, but you know, it's allowing the time for the players to, you know, have a little bit of that skip where they can maybe flesh out their character in ways that don't really revolve around adventuring, but it's afforded to every player, you know. And there are some players who within that time frame are, you know, they're afforded the ability to do stuff in town that really benefits the town. But there's also like some players in that where it's like, oh, I want to do this thing that's like more for me, you know. And it's like, okay, cool, we can play into that. Like, you know, you have some time to do some stuff. So, all right. I would like to give one of my players the mighty servant Luco from Tasha's. What the fuck is that? Why do I not know these things? Oh, it's an item? Or I mean, it's a beast? Oh, it's an artifact. Oh, that's why I don't know it. I was like, wait, why do I not know this? It's because it's an artifact. Jesus Christ. I would like to give one of my players the mighty servant of Luco from Tasha to reward him for a long and difficult quest. However, it is an artifact rarity. However, is an artifact rarity item a little too powerful? My taste. Would you have any ideas of nerfing it? Shit, I don't even know what this is. Name for the warlord who infamously employed it. Here's the oh Jesus Christ. A giant fucking egg. What is that? 310 hit points, 22 AC, 30 strength, 20 con. Resistant to piercing and slashing, immune to literally all elements, immune to all conditions practically. It cannot be altered or changed. Advantage on spells and magic effects. Immune to bludgeoning, yeah. It regains 10 hit points at the start of its turn. It has a long jump of 50 feet. Doesn't need air, food, sleep, or drink. It has a plus 17 to hit, 4d12 force damage, or it's arranged with literally the same damage. Up to 120 feet. If it jumps at least 25 feet as part of its movement, it can use an... Wait, it has how much movement? 60 feet. It can use this action to land on its feet in a space that contains one or more creatures. Each of them is pushed to an unoccupied space and makes a DC 25 dex save, taking 4d12 bludgeoning damage as knocked prone. Christ. Oh, and it has blind sight out to 120 feet. Okay, so this thing is a fantastically powerful 10-foot tall machine that turns into an animate construct when piloted. Crafted of a gleaming black alloy of unknown origin, the servant is often described... Let's press some on my thing. It is often described as a combination of disproportioned dwarf and an oversized beetle. Okay, it contains enough space for 1 ton of cargo and a crew compartment in it. Holy shit, this thing is huge. Okay, for 2 medium creatures to control it and potentially execute a spree of, oh my god. 2 creatures can be attuned to the servant at once. If a third tries, nothing happens. Okay, attuning to the artifact requires 2 hours, which can be undertaken as part of a long rest. While crew members are attuning, any creature or structure outside and within 50 feet has a 25% chance of accidentally being targeted by its attacks. While any creature is attuned to it, they can open the hatch as easily as any other door. Other creatures can open the hatch as an action. Knock spell can also open it. While you're inside, you can command it using the controls. During your turn, for either attuned creature, you can open the hatch, make it move, use an action, and use your reaction to command it to do something. Jesus Christ. Oh, and it has a self-destruct sequence. By inputting a specific series of lever pulls and button presses, the 2 crew members can cause it to explode. The self-destruct code is not revealed to crew members when they attune to it. If it's discovered, it requires 2 of them to spend their actions on 3 rounds performing the command. If a crew member successfully implements the code at the end of the 3rd round, it explodes. Every creature in a 100-foot radius sphere makes a DC 25 dex save, taking 25 d6 force damage, 25 d6 lightning, and 25 d6 thunder. You are taking 75 d6 damage. Holy shit. On a success, they take half. Objects and structures take triple that. I'm just curious. I just want to roll these. So we just rolled this and we got 190 plus 91 is 281 damage. 281 tripled is nearly 900 points of damage. Objects and structures. Creatures inside are slain instantly and leave no remains behind. This does not destroy it permanently, though. 6 days later, its parts, left arm, left leg, right arm, right leg, lower torso, and upper torso, drop from the sky in random places within 1,000 miles of the explosion. If brought within 5 feet, holy shit, that's an adventure. That is an adventure right there. Okay? That's an adventure right there. There was a place, a kingdom, whatever. This thing, the mighty servant of Luco, rampaged into this was actually on Oath, so that means that it was in the Greyhawk campaign. The mysterious barrier peaks of Oath are supposedly related to the device known as the Machine of Lum the Lum. The best details can be found in Mind of Metal, a tome of Artificer secrets that connects the device to the traditions of the Lost Omen people, which was written by Lum the Mad several times over. Granddaughter Lum the Maestro, while she reconstructed it. Wait, Omen? Yeah, I was gonna say that's Greyhawk. That is like the people of Flenasis. Yeah, that's right. I remember. They're basically like the Aztec. Because I ran a campaign where it was it took place in one of the dungeons there. Yeah, the Lost Shrine of Tamoachin. That was exactly it. It was the Lost Mine of Tamoachin, was like took place with like Omen architecture. This is an adventure in itself. This thing was built by a mad artificer who ran, like him and his familiar something, you know, rushed this thing into a kingdom, blowing up the whole thing, and you know, however many days later, like we'll do the full amount, we'll say like almost 2 weeks later, the parts fall from the sky and it's now a race to go and find it. That would be like, we need to recover all of these parts so that somebody does not use this again. And so not only is it going to be like, okay, well, this one landed in a volcano and is now, you know, the left arm has landed near a volcano and a red dragon has it as part of his horde. And the left leg landed in a forest and is now in possession of a phase spider, and the upper torso landed in a goblin camp, and they are worshiping it as something like that. In itself could be like a campaign. I might explore that. Also, I do want to reference Ms. Royce said the apparatus of Qualish, which I know vaguely of this. Yeah. Yeah, these look like the barrel crabs from the Nomengard adventure. this one in itself is like so crazy, just like the fact that it even exists, and it was part of the DMG. Still makes me laugh. Yeah, oh god, I want to look more into this. I want to kind of like build an adventure around this. Who doesn't want to drive around a tangle? Yeah, I always, when I look at that, I look at the Essentials Kit, Doip, Nomengard. Oh shit, I forgot all about this when players were casting spells in here recently. Barrel crabs, yeah. So crab-like contraptions that grip and move objects, rather crude like forklifts. So it can only fit one small creature, and I want to say that I had a token for it. Oh, funny enough, I think it's the same image that yeah, that was basically used for Qualish. Oh, this one's not bad. Look at that. That's Nomengard right there. It's just turned 90 degrees. Yeah, I think this is the token that I used for it, because I have like one without the circle. That's sick though. Apparatus of the Crab. That's awesome. My only caveat to the Rebuild the Mighty Servant campaign would be, if you make an adventure where they rebuild an awesome artifact, they should get to use it and feel awesome. That's true. I do agree with that. Oh, simple enough. Simple enough. Fuck. You have it where the goal, as they are going through finding these pieces, they find out that there is another group that is going around looking for it, that is trying to replicate it, because they want to use it like to do more like bombings, like these giant terroristic bombings. And so your goal, once you have it, is to then use it against them to like go and destroy that group, and you can use it in that fight. I'm gonna say I gotta just copy this into my notepad so I can save that for later. Here we go. Mighty Servant of Luco. All right. Well, reply. Don't nerf. No, I'm not gonna do that. I have no advice for you, but I am stealing. But I am now developing an adventure where someone blows up a kingdom's capital with this, and the party must collect the pieces that fall from the sky before the terroristic group that used it first time can get their hands on it. Adventure awaits. All right. Well, I think I'm only gonna ask one more, and then probably call it a night. Because we can go for about 3.5 hours. It's about 1:45. Any recommendations on map builders? I'm specifically looking to something help make combat maps, so grids would be helpful. Did people already say? Yep, Wonder Draft and Dungeon Draft. I can't add any more to that. Is there any good substitutions for CR? No. Wait, is this the same one that I was thinking of? No. There is actually like a real in-depth calculator out there, but I wouldn't take the time to look it up right now. How do I narrate and present my world better as a DM? I've got plenty of resources like minis, maps, musics, and sound. Watch some movies and shows and see how the world is presented in them. Watch the camera movements and even go so far as to read scripts that describe the camera movements and environmental descriptions. Funny enough, that is the advice that Abria Iyengar, one of the isn't there a service? Yes, there is. Oh wait, you're talking about something else. I thought you were talking about the Describe, the one. I think it's like Describe D&D. Yeah, this. You can literally get like descriptions for stuff. You have to pay for it. There's like plans. You flick. Oh, so this is the for the spell Bless. You flick holy water from your finger and it scatters into sparkling light that drifts around the wind towards those you protect. The blessing you grant settles on their settles about their shoulders like golden cloaks before vanishing. That's badass. Yeah, this is what I would do. Like maps. Here we go. Badger Hill. Oh, Shepeku. You know, actually, I am just gonna do that. There you go. Check out Describe. I like how they have this set up, like how D&D Beyond is set up. Hold on. Like with these, it's literally the same, like, it's literally the same things. That's funny. I wonder if it's made by the same, like with the same programming. Yeah, I've used Describe in the past. Let's turn it off of dark mode because that's killing my eyes. The rolling countryside is an inviting sea of lush and sprightly grass. Simple dirt roads weave through the hills, under trees and over lazy rivers. Across one of these babbling brooks, a tower of cobbled stone sits atop a hill. The chimney puffs a trail of white smoke. You see a squat figure standing near the front door, garbed in black and white. There you go. And then here's the interactive map and all of that. If you are at all interested, I have used this before. I never paid for it. I used it like little bits and pieces here and there, but stuff like this actually works. And you can get a lot of stuff. Nature scenes. Avalanche. The snow normally deadens sound. Wait, the snow normally deadens. Oh, yeah. The snow normally deadens sound for miles, but a rumble reaches you here, distant and thundering. Hundreds of feet above you, an ocean of ice and snow casts its shadow. Cascading down the mountain, a wall of frozen death rushes to embrace you. Boom. Plains? Actually, I didn't know they had planes on here. Oh, planes of fairy. Fuck that. Give me the planes of fire. That's what I need. Yeah, I've used this for like spell effects, because that's sometimes one of those things where like spells can become very bland for certain players, where it's like, oh, I just do this thing. You know, and it's like, okay, that's fine and all, but like, what does detect good and evil do? You know, what does hold monster do? And I'm just looking up the free ones. Cone of Cold, here we go. I could have used this in my one shot that I ran the other night. You twirl your hand as the final gesture, and a whirlwind erupts from it to roar outward. Flakes of snow and shards of ice materialize in the freezing air, whipping in ever-widening circles as the blast fans out from your fingertips. The skin of your hand glows pale and tingles with the cold, but it's nothing compared to what the spell inflicts on your enemies. Yeah, like, that's awesome to read to a player who casts a spell. So a question tied to that one: would you recommend learning or practicing special voice for No. Do whatever works for you. Do whatever works for you. I would not recommend doing voices unless you want to do voices. Yeah. Because, I mean, I don't even do, like, my narration voice. I only do that, like, when I'm not, like, in a moment. Or, like, if it is something I've practiced. But, you know, it's do whatever makes you comfortable. If reading off, like, for example, I have from the one shot that I ran yesterday. If I was reading this, I would read it in my narration voice. Imagine, if you will, the camera of your mind's eye fading in from black. What you see first is an icy fortress, a stronghold of towering stone and chilling ice perched atop a snow-covered mountain. The citadel exudes an aura of menace, casting shadows that seem to darken the sky itself. Now, picture the camera descending swiftly down the mountainside, soaring past cliffs that challenge the heavens and frozen waterfalls that had forgotten the warmth of the sun. The terrain changes gradually, and the camera captures the stark contrast between the lifeless world above and the struggling realm below. It's perfectly fine to read it like that, but it's also fine to say, okay, so imagine an icy fortress. There's like a stronghold of towering stone, and it's like, you know, chilling ice perched on this snow-covered mountain. You know, it kind of exudes this aura of menace, casting a shadow that seems to darken the sky. And then, like, from that, as we move down the mountainside, we go past some cliffs that, like, challenge the heavens, and some waterfalls that are practically frozen. And then the terrain starts to gradually change, and we begin to see the contrast, the stark contrast between really this lifeless world above and the struggling realm below, where Semper Vale sits. It's fine to do it one way or the other, like however you gotta do it, you do it. My narration voice is my normal voice when I do voice work. Yeah, that's it. Normally for me, it's like I try not to do my I try not to do my narration voice unless it is something that I have specifically practiced with for some kind of like read through. Like if there's an important moment or something where I'm going to really try and sell it, I will do like my narration voice, but otherwise I'm just kind of like, you know, whatever I gotta do. You fan out your hands, spreading your fingers, but remembering to keep your thumbs connected. Flame roars outward in a great plane. They start inches from your fingertips and shoot over a dozen feet before vanishing into a thin smoke. Ooh, can we change? What can we change of this? Oh, that's just where you can write it. Okay. Holding your fists outstretched in front of you, they begin... holding your fists outstretched in front of you, they start to fizz and vibrate as you mutter words beyond understanding. You pull your fists apart, creating a thin rod of frenzied energy, not unlike a javelin, smaller but more deadly. As you pull back your arm to launch it, the ever-changing bolt does not yet know what it wants to be, but as you release, the decision is made. This is a website called Describe. There is free stuff on here, but for some of it you do have to pay for it. It was always one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if I need to pay, you know, I don't know if I need to pay like $7 a month. The Sonic library is like the sound. It's not something I need. But yeah, like I'm not paying $7 a month for a bunch of descriptions. That's why I have ChatGPT. Go into ChatGPT and like use the phrase, build me an evocative description of a spell, and then like feed it the spell information. It's one of those like if there was like certain maps that I was looking for that, you know, I already had, awesome, but like not really something I'm too worried about. Shadow Fae portals. Ooh, that's actually pretty sick. That's cool. Oh, the Reclusive Cartographer. I know them. I don't think I follow them. I think one time I did. Yeah. So, but you know, I think that's where I'm gonna probably call it for tonight. You know, how to better describe stuff. Practice. Honestly, practice. Like if nothing more that I can say, how do you present and narrate better? Just practice it. Living your own life and describing the scenes around you. I think somebody in here even said, I think it was this first guy, go for a walk. Okay? Like, as you live your life, narrate and describe the world going on around you. As he sat in his room, the fat guy looked around, wondering when his stream was gonna end, so he could go lay in bed and watch YouTube for an hour. Something like that. Like, you know, like when I'm driving to work, narrate the scenes, you know, in in your mind as that you see happening out in the world. Okay. Honestly, it's just about kind of living in those moments as you go throughout your days. But hey, you know, teach their own. So I think that's where I'm going to end it for tonight. I was going to talk, there was something else I was going to talk about, but you know, honestly, time does not always allow for it, but I will potentially talk about it next week on our next episode of the first 15. But I'll give you, I'll kind of, you know, give you an idea about what I'm referring to. So, last week in this past week, my Phandalin 5 campaign, we did a one-shot, and I ran from this awesome book, Mini Dungeon Tome 2, which was on a Kickstarter. I ran Plight of the Winter Winds. And yesterday. Yeah, I guess it was yesterday. My mind's slipping. I wanted to talk about, like, how I went about prepping this based on the simple 2-page spread that it provides. I just kind of want to talk about some of the things that I did, you know, because different things work for different people. But for example, here, let me bring this up. Oh wait, let me go to here. Yeah, so for example, nope, wrong one. So this is the map that you know, that you saw a moment ago, and you know, obviously this one doesn't have the room numbers, but the thing is, it doesn't actually give you maps without room numbers. I actually had to go in and Photoshop this, so I don't know if I'll go into the full details and maybe like Photoshop another one that I plan on running another day at some point. But you can kind of see, like, where is it? Is it? Yeah, it was right there. Like right here, this is where there was a number, and actually right here, this little dark patch, that is actually from the edge of this 2 that let's see if I can get them kind of lined up. Yeah, you can kind of see where it like just barely lined up, and you know, how I tried to get it to work. I think it worked. You know, you can kind of see it right there. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to show like some of the things that I look at as a DM. You know, when I look at something like this, some things that I take into consideration. You know, like hypothermia doesn't exist in normal D&D because this book references, or Mini Dungeon Tome references, a book known as The Survivalist Guide to Spelunking, as well as Rise of the Drow and Occult Secrets of the Underworld. And it also references 3 of the books from Kobold Press, which luckily I have access to. But the nice thing about this particular, you know, Mini Dungeon Tome 2, the nice thing about this is that it actually allows you to access that information, because you can click these little orange, or these little colored links, and they actually come up on another window, so I was able to like reference that and like make the monsters that I needed. But yeah, like I said, I just kind of want to talk about how I did that, so we'll save that for next week. Just, you know, it's getting late, so don't really have the energy. But it kind of plays into you know, going back to what was brought up before with regards to Baron, you know, and the whole thing of whatchamacallits, the entrance, puzzle, setback, battle, and reward. Those were all present in that particular adventure. So if I bring this back up again, let's jump to page 210. You know, you have you have the main entrance where you have the fight that kind of sets the tone. You have the puzzle, which the puzzles are kind of, you know, this room up here where the wizard spell book is, but also the hallway where you can get turned around and there's some combats. You have the setback, which would be getting sucked into the elemental portal, and then you have the battles, which would be the you know, the fight with the dragon or the fight with Gonran himself. Yeah, because the puzzle aspect of it, like moving through a hallway where every time you turn a corner there's a 50-50 chance that you go the wrong direction, that's a puzzle. You know, it maybe not something that you can, like, you know, trick your way out of, but it's definitely a thing that is going to befuddle and confuse a party. And then you have, you know, the battle, which would have been the fight with Gonran, and then you would have the reward, which would obviously be, you know, killing him, being able to, like, befriend the dragon, claiming his grimoire, and all of that. So definitely works with that, and I kind of wanted to point that out today, because I think that, you know, there's a lot in this book that these are small enough to have them environmental puzzles. Yeah, that's it. So there's a lot in here that can play into that, where you have, you know, entrance stuff, you have setbacks and puzzles, the main battle, and whatever the reward is. So you know, maybe a Fungus Among Us is what we'll do maybe next week to, like, maybe prep and do some stuff with. Who knows? So not me, not tonight. So but thanks for joining me, everybody. Those of you who hung out, who watched this live, to those of you that watch this after the fact on VOD, and to those that are watching it on YouTube. I wanted to reiterate something that I posted over in my Discord the other day, and if you want to check out the Discord, you can click the link above or the about button below the stream and see over there. So I've kind of been, like, very blasé about posting on YouTube recently. I have kept everything up to date over there, but I'm like, I hadn't, like, uploaded in like 3 months or more. So I am going to be keeping a more regular schedule on that. I'm going to be uploading everything that happens in the week on Friday. So if you miss something here, maybe you don't want to check, you know, if you don't want to check it on Twitch or whatever, I understand. But you can check it out on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Kelf1. Let me... So if you are at all curious and you want to check that out, you can go over to the YouTube channel. There's also the link that's down below. It's literally below the stream. But that's where all the D&D&Chills are. That's where all the P5 and Rhyme campaigns are. The episode's first 15. They're all over there. Also, you may have noticed I started to... yeah, right down there. Actually, no, over there. Down there. I actually started dating the D&D&Chills starting today, so maybe it'll be a little bit easier if you want to, like, catch up on some of them or watch them after the fact. So yeah, just a little bit of housekeeping. Just wanted to touch on that. So if you do want to watch these after the fact, my YouTube channel is always a place you can go to watch them if the VODs go expired here on Twitch. So thanks for hanging out with me, everybody. I really appreciate it. I will see you guys on Thursday. If I don't see you before then I'll see you then. Then. Good night, everybody. Bye.